It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by TheDartZone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, and welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome. How you doing?
I am good. September 12th, 2012.
Yes, it is.
How you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Nothing like
Sorry
big
for being
city
a little
traffic.
late. Yes.
Yeah.
Traffic was a bear.
No,
but
better late than never.
Right.
I guess. Don't leave me flying solo again.
I try not to.
This is Dart Talk. Steve Pontielman with Mystery Mark, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, also thanks to Redwood Darts and Windy City Fabricators.
Yes.
How was your weekend?
Not too bad. A little long. Bad golf. A lot of work. Lack of sleep. Other than that, had about 7 hours of sleep in 2 days and shot about a 96.
I have no sympathy for anyone, to be honest with you. I had quite a weekend in Atlantic City. Yeah, and we'll talk about that. We have results. We have the results from the PDC Pro Tour, North American Pro Tour, Sunday in Atlantic City. We have results from the Saturday Atlanta Open. Also, we have results from the London Open a couple weeks ago. I couldn't even remember if we did those. So
I don't think so.
Yeah, so we could do those.
I'm sure they forgot if we did them anyway. We just it's a refresher.
We have partial results from the Lake Erie Classic, which was in Lake Erie, which I missed again this year, and it just kills me because the first tournament I ever won on the road was the Lake Erie Classic.
Was that this weekend as well?
Yeah, that was this weekend as well. So we have partial results from that, and I'm not sure I've even been back to it since, and it's too bad because it just falls on like the wrong weekend for me. They had a tournament in Grand Rapids the same weekend once, and then we had Atlantic City this weekend. So I'm glad to hear they had a good turnout. One of these days I'll get back there.
All right.
Although I didn't get anything that anybody missed me or anything.
No, probably not.
You know, tournament seems to be fine without me.
Running fine without you. Why'd you lead in with Kramer for the welcome to Dart Talk?
Well, because he had an interesting quote that I told him I would quote. He said that he was complaining about beverage prices in Atlantic City, and he was like, you know, it's a working man's sport, and we're paying country club prices. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's an issue that we've broached before.
Yeah.
About, you know, how you need a venue that's going to work with you to make these tournaments thrive. And I actually talked to a while with Jay Tomlinson about it, and he agreed. And it's really a headache to find a place that, you know, you could work with, because if you have a venue that's too expensive, it kind of kills the whole thing.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if they're charging you, you know, $30 for a breakfast buffet, and if it's like, you know, $10 for a Red Bull and stuff,
right?
You know, I don't think the players are going to go. And Atlantic City built a new casino called Revel. This thing has to be seen to believe.
Yeah.
To be believed. It's unconventional in a lot of ways, where you have a view of the ocean from the casino floor.
Nice.
Most casinos, there's no windows.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And I was trying to explain this to somebody about how, you know, in the Vegas casinos, there's very little open space. And especially with the newer ones, you know, starting with like, you know, the Mirage, they were built on junk bonds. And so in order to get a return on your investment, you had to cram in as many rooms as possible. And you know, any empty space, you know, you had to make it profitable in one way or
Right.
another. So if you had open space, then they put in shops, retail shops,
Yeah.
right? And then you had, this big casino floor where you could put in more games and have more gambling positions or whatnot. I mean, this place is bigger than Grand Central Station.
Really?
Open space around, and they have all these cool little areas where you can, sofa pits and stuff where you could just sit and watch a fire, and there's no slot machine anywhere near
Yeah.
you. You can't even hear them. And I'm like, well, okay. Where do you get this anywhere, in a casino? Because we seem to be playing in a lot of casinos. The dart
Your
tournaments.
dart tournaments? Yeah.
Yeah, all the big soft tip ones are in Vegas, and they're all hosted in casinos, and a lot of the big steel tournaments as well. And it's just sort of like, this place is really expensive. It's like $300 a night or something. But man, would it be
was
cool
awesome.
to play there? Oh yeah. And it's all
How
the way
old is it?
down. I think it opened
This
Memorial
year?
Day.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it's brand new. I
Wow.
mean, it's like you go up the escalator and you could just tell it's got this shiny new metal.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But the
Did you gamble at all?
a little bit.
How'd you do?
Not too well. I didn't. I ended up, dropping a little bit.
Right.
But nothing.
Small entertainment fee.
It was. What do they call it? They call it escape gambling or something. Because I was so irritated, with the matches I lost. I just kind of sit down there, and then all of a sudden I'm in.
Throw a coin down.
Yeah, it's just like God. Escape gambling, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
So I was
I've
doing
never
some.
quite heard it termed that way, but I'll take your word for it.
My loss on Sunday, literally, I stood under a shower for half an hour. I was so irritated with myself, and I'm trying to run it through in my head what actually happened, and it wasn't until the next day when I talked to my beloved Jill, and she's like, "How did you miss so many doubles?"
You couldn't grasp that you missed that many doubles?
Well, at some point, it just kind of snowballed.
Yeah.
To the point where I was almost throwing up my hands. Like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but none of these are going in. And I read somewhere that if you don't hit a double, you can't win a 501 game. And Jeff Smith played well.
You played Jeff?
Yeah, I played Jeff Smith in the second round or on Sunday in the PDC. He was playing well. I was scoring great. I was, averaged, my first 9 darts were over 110, I think, because I was, on a finish after 9 darts on almost every leg, and I just couldn't hit a
finish.
double. Oh, it was brutal. Just brutal. But, yeah, that was a tough one. These long format matches,
How many legs did it go?
7.
7.
Yeah, race to 6, 7 legs. Yeah, so it was kind of bad. It was one of the worst displays of doubles that I remember.
That you've ever seen anybody do?
Well, I mean,
or at least just yourself.
Well, it's kind of funny, and I don't know if Jeff's in the chat room, and he can certainly put his 5 cents in there.
It's hard to tell. The chat room changed, so we don't know. Nobody's got their name up there.
Oh, right. Because I made it so people didn't have to log in anymore, thinking that it'd make it easier for people. So if
It might take a week.
Yeah, if you guys log in, then your name will be in the chat, and if you don't, then it won't. It's up to you. It's freedom of expression. I was thinking. When I changed, I didn't know we could even do that, take off the login and stuff. So I did it last week. So, but it was funny because I talked to some of the players, and I was going to interview some of them. I brought the tape recorder, and I was so depressed after.
You feel like doing it?
Oh, I jumped in the ocean.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
So you took a shower and then jumped in the ocean, or the other way around?
I took the shower after jumping in the ocean. Bill Penn came down. He's the owner of the dartzone.com.
Yeah. Stay in the zone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. The
Stay in the
dartzone.com is an
zone.
official Cosmo distributor. No, but so we went in the ocean. Apparently there was some hurricane somewhere. So there were these huge waves.
Okay.
So before everything started on Friday, we went out there, and he's from Jersey. He used to, when he was a kid, he would go down, the Jersey Shore and, Cape May or what have you. And so we're jumping in these huge waves, and the waves were just carrying us back to the shore. It was absolutely a blast. And then the lifeguards kicked us out.
Really? What time were you out there?
It was the middle of the afternoon.
Oh.
It was 11 o'clock. It was great. It was 85 degrees.
Why'd they
the
kick you
water
out?
was warm. Apparently, people were getting swept away and drowned over the weekend, so they wanted to discourage that.
Yeah. Well.
So hard to argue with that. So I went in
Just
again.
unfortunate.
I went in again after after Sunday, so I didn't get a chance to see some of the matches. But there was some spectacular play,
Right.
and not by me, but
No.
although my scoring was actually pretty good. I threw a lot of maximums and stuff like that. Ton 37s,
Yeah.
ton 77, stuff like that. My cover shots were good, which generally means I'm playing well up to the point where.
The dart to win.
No, I'm talking about like missing 5 clear at 16,
Really?
32. Yeah, it's just like ridiculous stuff. I don't know what happened. I decided, though, after talking to Jill, that what it was my focus changed on the doubles for some reason. So I wanted to ask you about this because, you've played plenty of darts. Have you ever noticed that your focus is different on the doubles than it is on the other darts you play?
Yeah, I would say so. I think if sometimes it can just get into your head that either you have to make it or you know it's a winning dart as opposed to it's like you could get out of your rhythm a little bit because your rhythm is throwing at your numbers, and then all of a sudden
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about this because there's one particular person that I've been paired with in blind draws who, is a beginner,
right.
even though been playing longer than me,
Okay.
right? But the funny thing is like if you're playing 01 or cricket, sometimes you don't know what this player's aiming at. But when they're throwing it a double, they're right there.
Oh, the darts themselves.
Yeah, the
right.
darts themselves are right there, and yeah, if they miss, they only miss by a barrel or something. But when they're trying to hit like a triple, they miss by 2 numbers.
Right.
Now, explain that to me.
Well, that could be focus.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's clearly a focus, and maybe it's like the trail horse who smells the barn, right? Where as soon as they see the barn, they just kind of take off, and because they know it's the end of the day. So maybe some people, focus more on their doubles, but they get a little spacey, when they're scoring because it's repetitious or something like that. And then I'm doing the opposite thing. I'm so focused on scoring that I'm losing my focus on finishing, or so. I don't know.
Well, I guess it's possible. But
I figured it was the only thing I could think of is it was a focus thing.
I mean, from a beginner standpoint, though, they could just be, going through the motions, throwing at numbers, and then actually, yeah, right, and then they just decide to start concentrating for the double.
Yeah, I mean,
and you're doing the opposite.
It stands to figure it's something like that, right?
So you're thinking that you're concentrating so hard and you're throwing so well that you just look at a double and just assume you're going to hit it because you're throwing well, and you lose your focus that way. Is that possible?
Yeah, I don't know if I tell myself that. I don't.
No, right.
I'm not thinking it's just like, okay, now I'm shooting over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, if I'm playing well, I don't think I'm thinking anything except, well,
the numbers in your head
fat 8
and what
tops
you're
or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of because I played all right over the weekend. I mean, I dropped the singles match to Darren on Saturday. And I don't know if I ran out of gas or what. I mean, he played okay, but I mean, it's not like he played the best game he ever played or something like that. So, I don't know.
Did you miss doubles against him, too?
No, against him, I just started missing everything after a couple of legs. I mean, it was one of those kind of, it would be like indifferent darts, right? Instead of throwing ton 40s, you're throwing 81s.
Yeah.
All my cover shots at the 19 were going in the trip 7. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Sure.
I mean, just not sharp. Not real sharp. I'm not going to blame it on the place being drafty or anything like that, although... Well, I did. I actually had one. I was trying to throw a fat 20, and it went literally into the fat 5, closer to the 12 than
because somebody opened the door?
No. And I'm like... There's no way I did that. That dart just like caught a draft, and after the match, I held up my lighter, and the flames laying down, and the chalker's like, man, that thing took off like a. Which I don't know how the chalker could see it because they're kind of like got their back to you, right? And then I mentioned it to the opponent, and he just looked at me. He's like, "You beat me 4-0. What are you whining about? Whining about a draft?" I'm like, "Oh, well, okay." I get that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you beat him 4-0, and you're whining about a dart that you
well,
missed.
yeah. Well, because I was in shock.
Yeah.
That it went just sailing.
Right.
You know, the wind was blowing out. I don't know. I could see why he wouldn't, you know, have much sympathy for me.
Yeah, no,
right.
not at all. Right.
But what I wanted to say was that what struck me as funny is it's one of those things where, like, the blind men touching the elephant, you know, they're all touching different parts of the elephant, and they think, you know, it's something else. You know, the old saying.
Yeah.
Talk to two guys separately after a dart match and say how'd it go. Talk to the winner and the loser, right? Because I did,
Get
try to interview
reactions.
some of these guys. I swear to God, it's like they weren't even playing on the same board.
Game. Right.
One guy is saying, I blew it. I missed like 9 darts at a double and la-di-da-di-da. And the other guy's saying, well, he wasn't going to win anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and I missed doubles too.
Right.
And, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And after I talked about 8 people about 4 matches, I was just kind of shaking my head. And I'm like, holy cow. I mean, what people see and what they're perceiving about the game that they're playing against somebody is really, you know, kind of radical.
Yeah.
When you think about it. Obviously, you know, if a guy's totally off and he's not hitting anything, you know, and the other guy's hitting everything, I mean, there's not really going to be much.
That's obvious. Yeah.
Right. But I've talked to guys who like totally smoke people, and they won't mention the fact that the other guy didn't hit anything. They'll be like, "Oh, I played great," and la-di-da-di-da-di-da. And it's like, what about the part where you were under no pressure and you had 15 darts at a double because this poor guy, you know,
still at 300.
was, you know, or higher.
Right.
So it was interesting. The turnout was kind of cool because a lot of the Philly people came out, and I didn't go to Philly this year.
Okay.
So I got to see some of the good Philly people, and we'll get to the results maybe before the break because the Philly guys did pretty good. So why don't we start with Saturday's results, and let's see. So that would be the Atlantic Open. You can read them. Why don't we do top 8 from the singles and top 4 from the doubles? Let's try to get some more names in there.
Let's see if I can read this.
Right, so
All
you're
right,
going to have to
Atlantic
start
City,
at the bottom.
The Atlantic City Open.
Right, Atlantic City Open.
Men's singles 501. Top 8, Joe Cheney, Jim Widmeyer, Brandon Rogers, Dawson, Merschel.
Yeah, Dawson is so young that he went up to the board on Sunday,
Yeah.
and somebody came up to him and said, you can't practice here. We're in the middle of a tournament. Because he looks like Justin Bieber.
Really?
That's what they're all calling him. And he's really, really young. He's like, he won the youth championship at the America's Cup. He's a Canadian. Bad taste in shirt color, but a really nice kid. These bright yellow shirts, I can't.
The bad taste in shirt color
I
again. Here we
cannot
go.
take these bright yellow shirts. They just kill me.
Right.
So outside of that, though, really good
So what
kid.
is he, about 16?
He looks like he's like 12. I'm
Really?
sure he's like 17 or something.
Okay.
But he played really well all weekend. So and we will get him on the show. I was going to interview him, and he was nice enough to kind of wait around, and then I had my little meltdown after I lost to Jeff, and I had to go jump in the ocean. And it was funny. I went up to the lifeguard, and I'm like, how far can I go in today? And the guy looked at me like, what, are you going to, kill yourself
you gonna end
or something?
it right now?
I wasn't on suicide watch, but he must have looked like, okay, this guy's obviously an unhappy camper, right? So, whatever.
Top 4, Steve Panucci-Elman, Tom Sawyer. Second place, Darren Young, and Larry Butler wins the men's singles 501.
Yeah, and one more thing I'll say about the singles on Saturday was that they went by the NAPT rankings. So it was seeded.
Okay, right.
And, Larry and Darren were the top 2 seeds, and they made the final.
They made the most of it.
So, and then Tom and I ended up to be the 3 and 4 seeds because Bob Seneve wasn't there.
Okay.
He's 2nd or 3rd in the rankings, but he's got medical issue or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
so
too bad.
Yeah, he's on the DL.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on the DL.
dart DL?
I think he's got like a shoulder thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's on the DL. And then our buddy Gordon Dixon, who's been on the show a few times, signed up for Sunday and didn't make it.
Why not?
Well, I guess it was some problem catching a flight.
Oh, really?
Did it rain on Saturday around here or something?
Yeah, a lot.
Well, must have rained in Ohio, too.
Yeah.
So he couldn't get out, and I'm sure he was just about as frustrated as a guy could be.
Yeah, that would make sense because, it stormed Saturday night.
Oh, is that what it
into
was?
Sunday morning.
Okay. Well, I don't know. That's one of the things I was talking to Bill about. I mean, the more you travel to these tournaments, the more you realize you got to make it easy on yourself.
Right.
As best as you can. And I learned this actually booking a flight a few years ago with, I forget who it was, but he was telling me I never take the last flight out. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, because if you get delayed or something, there's no other planes you can take. And I'm like,
ding.
Good tip.
Yeah.
If you need to get somewhere, leave early.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I'm sure
Makes
Gordon
sense.
knows that. I'm sure it's just,
Bad luck. Probably.
Yeah, bad luck. Let's do the
All right,
women's singles.
Women's singles 501. Top 8, Susanna Kovac, Mary McHugh, Jackie Clark, and Nikki Pasenti. Top 4, Marilyn Pop and Nicole Kuzmuk.
Kuzmuk. Yeah.
Second place goes to Majo Deach. And is that right?
That's what it looks like.
Okay. And first place goes to Betty Cunningham. In the women's 501 singles.
All right, congrats to all of them. Some really nice people there.
Men's doubles 501, top 4, Ross Snook, Steve Penuncialman, TJ DiArmas, and Anthony Belois.
Okay.
Second place goes to Bob Miskey and Johnny Kaczynski, and first place goes to Darren Young and Dan Olson. Dan Olson, I apologize.
Yeah, Ross was a joy to play with.
Yeah.
We hooked up.
You hooked up last week.
In the chat room.
Yeah.
Right. So, we go out there and we play. It was hilarious. I'm like, do you want to go first? He's like, I don't know. Do you want to go first? I'm like, well, I don't know. You want to flip a coin? And he's like, yeah, okay. So we're literally waiting to play the first match, and we're playing Dave Walsh and Dave's partner. And we're over there flipping a coin to see who goes first. I win the flip. I go up and I throw a 1080, and I'm like, huh.
There you go.
Only 1080 I threw in the whole event.
Right.
It was just kind of weird. At one point, I was throwing 45, 45, 45, and Ross must have been like, what is wrong with this guy? So it was, and it was one of those things where, actually Dave Walsh, I forget who he was playing with, but they had us beat, actually. They missed some doubles. And then
It's the name of the game.
Darren and Dan played really, really well. And I think I missed one double. They beat us 3 straight. I had one double to break back where we were going to 79, and they threw like something big to leave them on something where I couldn't go for the 13.
Right. Oh,
right?
okay.
So and I probably should have just thrown a fat 19
to start.
And went for tops.
Yeah.
And you trip it. Now you're on double 11. Dead center inside wire, and you just throw your hands up. Like, oh man. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, anyway, that was that.
You're going to get top 4. That's what you're going to do.
I tell you. It's not like the show that, I'm just supposed to be whining all the time, but
It's just turning out that way?
When we start reading the results from Sunday, I hope I don't start reliving it because
you're going to look for an ocean.
Nah, no good
there's
could
no
possibly.
Ocean. Well, there's an
no
ocean relatively close.
Yeah, we'll have to go to a commercial. Women's doubles 5-0, top 4, Jackie Clark, Nicole Dalbo, Betty Cunningham, and Susanna Kovac. Second place, 2 of my buddies, Jen Shin and Aaron Quinn. Congrats to them.
Jen who?
Jen Schaefer and Aaron Quinn.
You said Shin.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies. The winners were Marilyn Pop and Marsha Locke. Good to them. The mixed doubles cricket, let's see, I didn't know that they were even playing cricket. Huh. Well, I didn't play, so there you go.
Yeah.
Aaron Quinn and Larry Butler, Sharon Graham, Ralph McCool, top 4. Ralph played good over the weekend. Jeff Smith, Betty Cunningham, runners up to Darren Young and Marilyn Pop. So congrats to them. The draw doubles 501.
Seems like Darren Young played pretty well.
Yeah, Darren. We'll get to that. We'll get to Darren, especially about Sunday. Top 4 in the draw, 501 draw. Joe Schultz, Chris Dothit, Brian Ross, and Larry Butler. Second place, Ross Snook and Sharon Arnold. And the winners, Toby Simcoe and Darren Young. I wanted to get Toby on tape. He left a little earlier on Sunday.
Right.
He's the guy that threw that perfect cricket game.
Yeah.
Nice guy. The Philly guys were very well represented. So those are the results from Saturday at the Atlantic City Open. So let's run. We're going to run like a little 2-minute spot here, and we'll be back after that. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve. Okay, and we're back. What'd you think of the spot?
I liked it.
Pretty flashy.
Yeah,
eh?
it was.
Yeah.
Techno.
The New World Dart Series that's coming up.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had time. I wanted to pull audio from last year. We did a show with my old co-host, my cousin, and I remember talking about the perfect dart tournament. You know what? We're gonna stop the show just for a second, and we'll be right back. It looks like we're having bandwidth issues, and we may be cutting out.
Really?
So we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. Where were
So
we?
you were saying?
I don't even remember what I was saying. I got a little
Well, you started talking about the New World Dart Series, and you wanted to go back and
to the audio.
Yeah.
From the show I did
With
where
your cousin.
because I'll have to look and you guys can look it up. It's like episode 6 from last year, and look for the perfect dart format or the perfect tournament format.
oh, okay.
Like we unveil the perfect
Way back
tournament
then you
format
did?
or something
Right.
way back then. And it is almost identical to what they're doing with the New World
okay.
Dart Series. So the deal is you play round robin Saturday. If you finish in the top half of your round robin, then you get into the main field Sunday and you play for the big money,
Right.
which is first prize is like $4,800, which is by far
The
at
highest.
least double the highest payout
Right.
of the year, right? So it's the biggest money tournament of the year. If you finish in the bottom half of your round robin, then you go play Knockout Sunday in the consolation round, where
Okay.
first prize is $1,000, second prize is $500. So $1,000 is almost as much as Darren won for coming in second at the PDC.
Yeah.
So no matter what your level is, and remind me to talk about beginners because we had an interesting thing about that in Atlantic City.
Okay.
Somebody came up to me. You get all these darts in, and no matter how well or badly you play Saturday, Sunday's a new day.
Right, exactly.
And if you play, decent enough, you at least make your money back, and, you have a great weekend of darts.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to it.
When is that?
It's October 12th, the
Right.
weekend of October 12th. It was on the commercial that you failed to watch because you were, going through the chat.
Yeah.
So you need to watch those because the other two are different. They're actually pretty cool. One of them, well, you'll see. Well, yeah,
I'll
we'll
pay
run.
attention to
Yeah,
the
we'll
next
run
one.
more spots for the New World Dart Series later in the show. I don't even want to talk about Sunday. It was interesting though. We had a great response to our beginner thing.
Yeah.
I posted the drills on our Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
And it was just so cool. Somebody came up to me at the tournament in Atlantic City and said, "Can I tell you something in confidence?" And I'm like, "Sure." Later, she said, "Well, okay, you can tell other people about it." So, because one of our listeners went through the drills, and she's like, "I listened to the show," and I'm like, "Oh, well, that's easy, and that's easy, and that's easy." So she started going through the drills, and then she kind of just said, so I went the first one, and then I went through the second one, and la-di-da, and then she just sort of looked down at her feet, and she's like, "But Steve, I'm a beginner." And it was just kind of cute.
Right.
And I was like, look, everybody in that room up there, if they're not a beginner now, they were once.
Exactly.
So there's you shouldn't be embarrassed. You shouldn't be apologizing for it or anything. It's like everybody starts from zero, when they play darts. And,
Yeah.
Some people, advance quicker than others, just like any other endeavor in life, right?
Exactly.
And if you stay at it, you'll improve. And if you practice intelligently, you'll improve. And if, like what we're all about, if you maximize the time that you spend,
Right.
even if you only have...
Regardless how much time you have.
Right. Even if you only have a half hour before your, Wednesday night league match or your Thursday night league match, if you spend that half hour intelligently and you do something regularly, you will improve.
Exactly.
There's absolutely no doubt about it. So we got a great response to the
tips
to
for
the
the
drills.
beginners.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think somebody posted on the Facebook page he's stuck on the last one, and I'm like, what did we say? 15 out of 21.
At the bullseye, yeah.
Right. So we're going to have to, I kind of said, 15 out of 21, not the bull, but around the world.
Around the world,
yeah.
right.
So you get
exactly.
one dart at every
Yeah.
wedge. Right. So I did promise, you weren't here because you missed the,
I missed the
pre-show
meeting. Yeah, again.
We have to define what the cutoff is for an intermediate player. We'll do that later in the show.
Okay.
So we define we got the beginners all set.
Yeah.
The other one's going to be, I'm going to need your help
with
on.
the same
Well, we have
with
to.
the same.
We got different drills for the intermediate
You got
players.
those worked up?
Well, and some of them worked up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we could talk about that, but
All right.
we need a cutoff. Remember how we spent I don't know how much time defining what a
Right.
beginner was. We have to define what an intermediate player
Right.
was. It was funny. I got a lot of good feedback on the show in Atlantic City. We got a lot of compliments, so thanks everybody, by the way, for the kind words and the emails, and of course, thanks for listening. One guy was really funny, though. He says to me, I really like the one tip that we gave about, imagine your darts a pool cue.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the target line and stuff. And then the next thing out of his mouth was, but you spend too much time on beginners. And I'm like, that was a tip for the beginners.
Yeah.
So I got a little
The whole
confused.
segment was tips for the beginners.
Well, yeah, but, anything you do, the beginners, we stress a lot of fundamentals, right?
Right.
And when we start talking about the intermediate stuff, it's going to have to include a lot more about the mental approach and the mental side of the game because, once your mechanics are down, pretty much
Sure.
it's a mental game.
Yeah.
I'm proof of that, Mr. Mental. Let's do the PDC results from Sunday, and I will try not to, kind of barf in my mouth a little bit here.
Okay.
So you got this?
Where are we at?
We are
All
here.
right.
Let's do.
Let's go from the bottom up.
Yeah, let's start with the last 16. So for the last 16,
All right.
So here, let me do it. All right. So for the
Without vomiting in your mouth.
the Pro Tour, the PDC North American Pro Tour, round of top 16 was Chris White, Bob Miskey, Robert Rolfing, Phil Sroka, Gary Mawson, Ben Amadei, Brandon Rogers, and George Timponi from New York. And special congrats to Ben Amadei because, I heard he played about as well as a darter could play in beating a really fine player and knocking the seed off his board.
Okay.
So that was pretty good. You see a lot of the seeds made it through. And there's only two unseeded players in the quarters. One was Ralph McCool, who, would be seeded if he went to some of these things. It was the first one he went to. And the other one was Tom Sawyer, who's, tops on all these lists. And, it's the first one he went to. And I'm pretty sure he enjoyed it. So the top 8 was Ralph McCool, Brian Ross, Jimmy Widd, and Ross Snook. I saw some of those matches, and guys were just playing great. Darren especially had a tough match with Ralph's, closer than 6-2.
Yeah.
Jeff played spectacular darts against Brian Ross. The leg Brian won, he lost 6-1. He took out a 134, let out a whoop because, Jeff was on fire. I saw Larry handle Widmer pretty good. Larry was playing solid all day, and saw the beginning of Tom and Ross. They played great, and they were both playing pretty good. And Tom got him in the end, and that's when I sort of said I can't take this anymore because one of the ADO board members kind of walked by, looked at me, and said, "Well, you should be playing," and then kind of walked away. And I'm like, I can't take this anymore. And I missed the most cracking final, or the most cracking semifinal one could watch.
Which is?
Well, top 4 was Jeff Smith and Tom Sawyer. Larry beat Tom 6-2. Darren beat Jeff 6-3, but they both averaged well over 100.
Really?
I think Darren averaged close to 110. Jeff averaged 105, and after the match, Jeff's like, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
At one point, they were both on 9 darters after 5 darts.
That's awesome.
In the same leg.
Right.
I mean, they were. It was just a cracking match, and then in the final, Larry beat Darren 6-1, and Larry only averaged 85.
Oh wow.
Darren averaged under 80, and I just have to think Jeff took a little too much out of him. Larry averaged 85, but I think had Darren been on him, he'd have averaged a lot more because, he'd be after, 9, 12 darts, he'd be down at a finish, and then he'd just kind of, he'd miss it, and it wouldn't matter because he'd have it, minimum 3 more darts at it. So it was a kind of anticlimactic, but well played by Larry. And he was, I talked to him a little bit after, and, he was pretty happy because, he's played all 3 of them. It's the first one that he's played well in. So I know he was.
Good for him.
Yeah, I know he was pleased about that. So congrats to Larry for that. I don't know what else to say about Atlantic City. I mean,
it's very enjoyable, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it was a really good room of really good players, and at some point you start to realize, there's like 40 guys that have a chance of winning. It's like, who's going to have a good day on Sunday?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Who's not going to run into the best half hour of some guy's life,
right.
and who's not going to bounce out, who's not going to wire their doubles, get flighted out of a triple when they need it or what have you. I mean, the margin of error
is very slim.
And it's not much,
right.
I'll tell you. So that was pretty good. Let's run our second commercial, and we will be right back.
The best shots in North America will all be at the Dayton Marriott Hotel and Convention Center, October 12th through 14th. And if you think you're one of the best shots in North America, this is your chance to prove it. There's over $30,000 to be won. Plus, if you shoot a perfect 9-darter in 501, you'll win a brand new Dodge Dart. Oh, and above all else, you'll have every right to brag and say you're the top shot in North America. But to say you're the best, you have to beat the best first. And the best will be at the New World Dart Series in Dayton, Ohio. So get all the information you need at www.newworlddartseries.com or shoot us an email, info@newworlddartseries.com. I'll see you in Dayton in October. Hey there.
All right.
Okay, we're back for the second half. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Boy, I made the mistake of looking in the chat room.
Yes,
there.
you did.
Wow, people ripping on me.
Can't hit a double and you're giving lessons.
I wouldn't say I'm giving lessons, and I have hit doubles in the past. Just, you know,
Right.
I had a bad patch there. And it was...
Not lessons, it's more advice.
If that was Jason Watt, I recognize him. I may see him in Vegas. I'm going to go to the Darts Live thing in Vegas at the end of the month, and I'm going to have a talk with young Jason there.
Okay.
He's a good guy. I like him. What was I going to say? I don't know.
We said welcome back for the second half, and we got to start the second half of the show now.
Right. Well, we have more results. Did we do the results from London? The Saturday results?
I don't
from
think
London?
we did, but I don't remember for sure. But that would have been 3 weeks ago, right? Or was it 2 weeks ago?
Well, yeah. Well, somebody was nice enough to send them to us. So
Well, we probably didn't do them if they just sent them to you.
kind of what I was
We
thinking.
probably didn't do them because we didn't have them.
Okay. Well, before we do that, let's for people that don't know, the North American Order of Merit is a 2-year rolling scale or a 2-year rolling Order of Merit. So
Right.
the money you win this year still counts for next year. So after 3 events, here's the top 10. Tied for 10th, Jimmy Widmer and Joe Cheney. 9th is Tom Sawyer. 8th is Dan Olson. 7th is Gary Mawson. Tied for 5th, Canadians, Jeff Smith and Ross Snook. 4th, Andre Carmen. 3rd, Larry Butler. 2nd, John Part. And on top, the money list, Darren Young. 3 for 3. 3 finals and 3 events. So you got to figure.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you got to figure right now. Big Daddy's the guy to beat.
Yeah.
Larry got him a couple of times over the weekend. So good for Larry. But Darren's been there every week, and there's something to be said for that level of consistency given the
field.
Well, given the field, like it wasn't seeded in the first one.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't really seeded in London in the second one. I mean, I think they only seeded a couple of guys. And this one they seeded down, the top 16 that were in the money list, I think it was seeded. So, again, the people that are constantly, bashing seeding, I don't really think it matters.
Right.
Although it would have been nice to play Jeff Smith, in the top 16 instead of like the top 64. But, people get bad draws, and, if I would have gotten by him, then, maybe I would have made top 4. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to whine about seeding and stuff like that. The Darts Live, that was the thing I was going to tell you, man. I went to League last night.
Really?
I didn't get back from Atlantic City.
Well, yeah, you said you were going to get in
until-
at like 6:30 or something.
Yeah. Well, the train got in at 4, but my ride was late, and then she wanted coffee. The teachers were on strike, tying up traffic
Right.
downtown, right? The train station's downtown. And then it took 20 minutes to get to a Starbucks. We parked the car, walk into it, and it's being remodeled.
Nice.
Right. And I'm just like, oh, my God, it's going to take an hour to get a cup of coffee, which is pretty much what it did. And so I told the guys, Tuesday Night League, you pretty much count me out because, we do the show on Tuesdays. I don't know if you want to move it, but it's kind of like, what are we going to do?
Right.
So I sent somebody a text, hey, if you want me to play, tonight might be the only night I can play, right? Well, here's the weird thing is, like, I told myself after Atlantic City that I wasn't going to use my darts anymore. I was going to start using soft tip darts. Even when I played steel, I would put steel points on them to get used to them because, I don't throw 18-gram darts when I play steel. I throw like 26-gram darts, right? So I get home, and I'm trying to figure out what kind of flights and shafts to put on these now that I have these metal tips on them. They're set up fine for soft tip, but the metal tips kind of change the balance of the dart, right? So I end up with like long shafts and speed flights and stuff, and I'm like, well, I'll go to League and see how this works, right? See how they fly, see if there's any, and they remodeled Rockies,
right?
I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a different, it's a completely different space.
Maybe
now.
I haven't then.
Wow. Oh, you haven't.
Okay.
Oh, no. I walked in like, what's this place?
I mean,
Literally.
Remodeled the bar in the center, too, and everything?
Everything, the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah, it's all different. Although the boards are in the same spot.
Yeah.
So luckily, I was like, oh, I know that guy. I must be in the right spot.
Okay.
Outside of that, it was totally different.
Everything's, wow.
So I go to play, I'm trying to warm up. And usually, like on a league night, the first thing I'll do is I'll throw 10 double balls. Admittedly, I was wearing flip-flops. But I didn't throw it took me, I don't know, 51 darts to throw a double ball.
All right.
Right? And then they
Yeah.
started going in. I was kind of like, okay, the darts look like they're okay in the air. And that's kind of how I judge it.
Sure.
If my darts look good in the air, then I'm not going to worry. If they start fluttering or, whatever, obviously there's an issue, right?
All right.
So I've never used these darts before,
Yeah.
and they're like, play, go play with Sharon Rojas in the doubles, right? Okay, fine. I scored okay, and my first 2 darts at double 20 were almost off the board.
Nice.
They just kind of went high. I mean, these darts don't weigh anything compared to, what I throw. I mean, it's like a 30% change.
Now, why
or
are you
something.
doing this again?
Because I'm going to play soft tip. So I'm using my soft tip darts, trying to play steel with them.
How much soft tip are you going to play where you have
I'm
to...
going to play the Darts Live Asia.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to play an event at the end of the month.
All right.
But I need to get used to throwing these darts
right.
because they...
Why don't you just use plastic tips? They'll stick in the board
Oh, you mean...
instead of using steel.
What I'm getting to is,
right.
I go to play cricket, and I'm like, okay, just keep it simple, Steve, right? I don't know what happened. I beat this guy in like 4 minutes.
Really?
And I was like,
Guess it's not
Awesome.
so bad after all.
So I'm ready to leave, and he's like, oh, you got to play the 501 doubles. I'm like, okay. Ton 40. I'm like, oh, well, these darts work okay. Because
Just took a little getting used to.
Well, what it is I need my darts to go in the board at a certain angle. And it used to be that they would go in, where's the camera? They used to go in kind of tail up, like 15 degrees, and I'd work it in off that. And now I do it differently. Now it's they go in straight. They go in flat. They
You
go
just
in
lost
level.
your bandwidth again.
Yeah, okay. See, it just kind of goes in and out.
Right.
So it might... apologies if we're cutting out here, but I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. Okay. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. We'll call this the fourth quarter.
What's up with that?
That's the echo I was telling you about. Luckily, our listeners can't hear it.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was trying to tell you it's kind of an odd thing.
It's got to
doing
end
this.
first.
Yeah, Department of Corrections, apparently it was not cricket in Atlantic City. Thanks for pointing that out. Those are the results that somebody in charge sent me. So
With the
I don't
words
know,
cricket on there.
with the words cricket on it. So Not a whole lot I can do about that. There was I got an interesting piece of mail
Right.
when I got back, which was another thing that kind of stressed
Just
me
an
out.
email
last
or
night.
an
No,
like a letter?
actually snail mail.
Okay.
Snail mail. But I did want to say one more thing about, changing your darts, because I talked to Ray Carver about it because I was apprehensive. And I'm like, look, Ray, I'm going from like 26 grams to 8
18,
grams. That's
right.
an 8-gram difference.
Yeah.
That's like, huge. And he's like, you know what, man? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what darts you throw. I started out on 16s and and I'm thinking he's actually kind of right.
Yeah. It's just you got to get used to it.
Yeah, it's just sort of like you just throw them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just throw them and you don't think about all this stuff. I mean, I've done the work, where, my mechanics are pretty solid and everything like that. And that's why when we start talking about this intermediate thing, we're going to have to come up with some mental test that you have to pass, to become.
Sure.
And what is it going to be? What are we going to do? We had beginner, we're going to do intermediate, and then advanced. And we'll call the pros advanced,
Yeah.
right?
Sounds good to me.
It's better than special.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're special. Oh gosh, I don't.
All right.
You're going to have to help me with this because I know you're not a beginner. Although I'm sure you didn't go through the drills. I've seen you play. I know you could do it.
I don't know. It's been a while. I probably should go through those drills one more time.
You really should because
Yeah.
we did get email from people and people were posting how they're doing and everything, and we got some nice compliments. They liked the way it was designed, and it kind of got progressively
I really
a little
should
bit
run
more
through those
difficult
drills
and
one more
stuff like
time.
that. Everybody should.
Yeah.
Why not? Anyway,
Doesn't it hurt to go back to the basics?
right? When it comes to the intermediate, we're going to have to figure out a cutoff. So, like, you're an intermediate player, I would say, right?
Right, probably.
And you probably consider me an advanced player. So we got to figure out what the difference is between you and me as far as, like, I know I'm taller
Yeah.
and you're older, but outside of that, outside of that, what is the difference between aside from the fact that I play more often?
Practice time?
Is it just that?
No, not
mean,
just
there's-
that. I think
there's
that
experience.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
I saw a
experience
guy,
has a lot to do with it.
I saw a guy teaching somebody last night. And kind of telling him stuff that was a little bit wrong and also telling him stuff while he was throwing. And I'm like, literally, I mean, the guy throws like 2 on the wire, the trip 20, one of them is in. And the guy's like, well, okay, well, that wasn't bad. And then the guy throws a third one, and he's like, but that last one wasn't good. And finally, I'm like, well, maybe if you weren't talking
Yeah.
to him, maybe he would have thrown a ton 40. And it's like, teaching people to play darts and coaching people to play darts. I'm sure lots of people do it, and they always mean well. It's kind of like the mortuary business. Darts is sort of like passed by word of mouth almost. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, there's you look at golf. There's like 25 different instruction magazines. Every single pro on the face of the earth has tips.
Yeah.
You get taught by guys who are certified by the PGA, but can't win. They're not tournament players.
No.
You've got club pros that manage the pro shop and everything, and assistant pros working their way up. All these people give lessons. But, I mean, who does Tiger Woods go to? He goes to one of the 2, 3 top coaches,
Right.
Whatever, stuff like that.
Until he fires
So,
them and goes to another one.
Yeah, so, we can give people an option. We can give people our drills and stuff, and, they can, take them for what they think they're worth.
Yeah, they could
Right.
try them if they hate them.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
be it.
we're not, I'm not trying to fob myself off as like, the be-all and end-all of dart knowledge, right?
Hold on, let me think about that.
Well,
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, it's like there's guy. I've never played in Europe,
Right.
right? I haven't gone to Hong Kong, and maybe those experiences, would have helped. I haven't played on the big stages. Yeah, I've played on stage. I've won events. But the idea that we're going to give people some options and try to give them some guidance, I think that's okay.
Right.
I mean, do as I say, not as I do.
We're not saying you have to follow these things.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's never missed a double. I don't know anyone that hasn't blown a match, and I don't know anybody that's undefeated.
Right, exactly.
Right? So,
or is never going to lose again.
Or that I haven't beaten.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sure there's somebody
little
out there.
Plug for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a darter I've never beaten. Chris White, be quiet. Right.
There you go.
I don't think I've beaten Chris. I've only played him a couple of times. But, yeah. Chris is one guy I've never beaten. I don't even count soft tip because I only play it once a year. But of all the players that I can think of, he's about the only guy I haven't beaten, and I think I've played him twice.
Right.
But I've gotten by everybody else. So, I mean, it's not like I'm buttering my own bread or anything. But, you people can take it for what it's worth.
Sure.
Right? I mean, I don't even know what else to say about that. But I did get.
So we're going to come up with this.
We're going to have to.
For next week.
I don't know if we're going to have. We'll see how far we get today. I did want to mention this one thing. The mail I got, because I'm a regional director for the ADO in the area. Right. I took that over at the beginning of the year, and so we tried to get the ADO regionals going again in Chicago. We've had a couple of them. But they changed the bylaws where now, because they're having elections, so I can actually vote. I guess before they changed the rule, you had to be like an area manager on the board to vote, and I criticized them for it, and they changed it.
All right,
I'm not just because I said something, but so now all the regional directors can vote. So there are many more people voting now for the ADO offices than there were. And there's 3 positions open. There's the Director of Information and Technology or something, which Dave Haskup does. He does a website and stuff like that. There's the Executive Secretary, and then there's the Vice President. And I was thinking, I wonder if I should run.
For which one?
Try to get on the ADO board. Well, I wouldn't want the technology job because I don't want to have to do the website.
Right.
And I was thinking, well, the secretary seems to do okay. And I was thinking, the current vice president told me that she'd had it and she was going to be done. So I was thinking, well, maybe I'll run for vice president. So I found out that Lorette's wants to run, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to run against her.
Okay.
It's like, for people that want changes in the ADO, it's a relatively simple process. You need to write it up. Just telling people, when you see them, hey, you should do this, do that. You need to document the stuff, and I can get it to the ADO. If people have suggestions for what the ADO is going to do. I had a long talk with some ADO people. I mean,
so have you decided to run?
No, I've decided not to run.
Oh.
No, I've decided not to run. And I don't want anybody to think that it's because of anything except you've got somebody like Lorette who's been on the ADO board for 20 years, and I don't really see, if she wants to keep doing it, why anybody should say no to that.
Yeah.
As much as I'm critical of all sorts of stuff, like boards and stuff, the fact that people devote, an enormous amount of their life to something, you have to respect it. If they're totally not willing to change and they're totally negative and all this stuff, then, maybe that's a different deal.
Sure.
But you just take these organizations and you're like, well, this is, how they're doing it. Either you want to play or you don't want to play. Right? With some of these tournaments that people are complaining about, it's like, don't play.
Exactly.
If you don't like the way things are run, don't play. Now, when it comes to the ADO, they'll consider stuff. And one of the things that I was kind of yakking to the powers that be about is, like, they should publish who votes for what in their minutes. Just like anything else, like your congressman or your senator or your president or your school board member or something. If there's an issue on the table and they vote yes or they vote no and you don't like it, you can communicate that to them, and you could say, you voted against this, and let me tell you why I wish you would have voted for it. And if enough people, communicate this to them, they'll change their vote. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it's supposed to work. And I don't think the ADO, all the people that want changes in the ADO, if they tried it before, to get changes made, they should try it again. I think that, and that was something that, one of them told me. They're like, the way it evolved where they don't publish the votes came from something that happened, some years ago. And if I write it up, they'll consider it at the next board meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I will write it up. Even though I've talked to a couple of people about it, kind of make it official and be like, yeah, let's get on the record on this. Because I don't see if people are doing stuff in good faith, why they can't say, well, I said no, and here's why. Like I had a small talk with Lorette.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I had a small talk with Lorette in Atlantic City, and I don't agree with her on a lot of stuff.
Well, you don't agree with a lot of people on a lot of stuff.
So what? It's like, here's my opinion.
Yeah.
You've got yours, and if it's something that needs to get put to a vote, and you see how people are voting and everything, then kind of know where you stand.
Yeah.
All the people that want the ADO to change and all this stuff, there's a process. We'll kind of see what happens. So, but no, I am not running.
So what was the letter was that you were able to vote?
Well, yeah, because it was a new thing. It's,
okay.
They did their call for candidates, so if you wanted to throw your hat in the ring, you had to do it by today.
Oh, okay.
So I had to make up my mind pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens. I think the ADO, I just wish the ADO would kind of step up and have a vision. This is where we want American darts to go, and they've been dealing with some like legacy issues that are getting resolved slowly, and until that stuff is resolved, I don't know that anybody's going to see really, really substantial change. But they did change the bylaws and change the votes, and I think that they're making changes slowly,
moving forward.
Yeah, I think they really need to see that some things are working, and they really need to see that the players are liking it, and then they'll probably step it up.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the only thing about that. The other thing is I'm starting to really think we need to have some sort of players association. And I say this because...
You said that before, haven't you?
Yeah, I've said it before. Yeah. But now I'm convinced of it. Because there's all this stuff, like you've got all these companies coming in trying to do business now. All these new machine makers for soft tip machine makers. Right. You got all this people trying to put like the new World Dart Series. You got an independent body that's putting together a dart tournament. The good thing about the new World Dart Series is, there's players involved right from the beginning.
Yeah.
But for other people that are trying to do stuff, the players don't have any voice. So, like, if the NDA, which is like the big soft tip thing, wants to do something from a business standpoint, the players don't have a seat at the table because they represent owners and operators.
Okay.
So the owners and the operators get their little heads together with whoever's, running the NDA, and they just decide what they're going to do.
Make up the rules.
Yeah, but the players aren't there at the table saying,
right.
well, this is what we want. Right? So somehow the player's voice is filtering up to the negotiating table when you're doing stuff like this, just never gets done. And the players are all kind of like on their own. Every man for themselves. They're all independent contractors, basically.
So how do you go about forming a players association?
Well, we'll have to table that for another day.
Yeah.
But, I think this is a subject that may come up again.
Right.
Fair warning.
Pay attention.
I don't know. I've been in 4 different unions. I'm not a big, lover of unions, but you have to have a coherent consensus.
But you just want a voice.
You have to have a coherent consensus from the players.
Yeah.
And then that needs to be presented to the people running tournaments and stuff in such a way that they understand that this is what's necessary.
Yeah.
You got market forces and everything moves too slow, right? Okay, our turnout was down at this tournament, right? Why? Well, it must be the economy.
No.
I'll buy that for a second.
Right.
What I suggested to somebody is like, look, if you have a tournament, have a questionnaire that people can fill out and drop in a box on their way out the door. Hey, what'd you think of the food? What'd you think of this? What'd you think of that? And then you'll have an informed opinion when you run your next tournament.
Exactly.
Right? Some of the tournament directors are pretty good about talking to, kind of like the high-profile players and everything, but they who can talk to everybody. Virginia Beach had 200 players. You can't talk to everybody.
Plus, like you said, it's better, though, if it's written down, if you can actually
well,
have it.
sure. Just come up with something with a little check. Good, fair, poor, excellent.
Yeah.
Whatever. Have some pens handy. Ask them to please fill it out on their way out, and they don't have to sign it. Have any comments, and then, when you sit down with your board, after the tournament, when all the tournament workers who are, like, basically dead have recovered in a couple of weeks, you can go through those and kind of see, okay, we did good here. We didn't do good here.
What can we change?
Right.
Should we change?
Because it's sort of weird. I mean, the people that run tournaments have their own issues to deal with, their own problems to deal with, and their own agenda. Whether they're trying to, turn a profit or break even, what have you, they have their own things. But as players, we got our own things.
Yeah.
I don't want to draft. I don't want to throw in a wind tunnel. I do want to, be able to eat in the dart hall. If you're going to run enough events where I can't leave for 12 hours, I want something decent to eat.
Right.
All right. If you're going to play music, play some of my music, which nobody likes.
Right. Not at all.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, so don't play music.
Yeah.
Okay? You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's not fair that they get to listen to the stuff they like and I don't get to listen to the stuff I like. I mean, what's fair about that? If your tournament's got round wire boards, I mean, the players should be yelling at everybody. Hey, you, tournament people, you got these boards? Come pick up my darts. Buy me a new set of points. I mean, see, I'm exaggerating, but I mean, there needs to be there needs to be like kind of clear communication. That was the one thing that I was thinking about. I had a long drive back from Atlantic City. And I was thinking about how the communication between the players and the powers that be is not clear.
Is it even existent?
It exists when people talk to each other. But, I mean, it's not – there's no, like – here's a perfect example. You got the Lake Erie Dart Classic, right, which is the same weekend as another tournament. Well, that's bad for everybody. It's bad to have everything on the same weekends, but – and the New World Dart Series, there's 2 other tournaments. One's in Europe the same weekend.
Right.
There aren't really any free weekends anymore. Okay? Plenty of people went to the New World Dart Series, right? But there was one guy who played in the PDC that went there instead, and I was kind of thinking, if we had a union, he'd have been fined. Because, the top players all need to support these top tournaments.
Right.
If they want to be top players. Like, that's how they do it in England. Like, there's a players' organization, and they have rules about, what you can do and what you can't do, because all these people talking about a pro tour, if all the pros are going to be in one place, and then one pro is going to kind of run over somewhere else and play some other tournament because he knows he's going to be the only pro there, that's not good.
Right.
Right? I'm not saying anything, bad. I mean, it's like you got a 10-hour drive and a $100 entry fee versus a 2-hour drive and a $15 entry fee. I mean, come on.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
No, but I mean, it's one of those things where, I don't know. There's got to be, you got to figure something out. You know what I mean? Like the points don't count, or I don't know. Do something, because it's too, it's ridiculous that you would get more points for going to a little tournament that has basically, just the locals than the people that you got the 100 best players in North America playing, and you make top 4 there, but the top 4 at the little tournament counts more. I mean, they need to work something out. Yeah, that's
skewed.
Well, ADO needs to work on the ranking system. That's why we use NAPTA anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You got anything? I'm just babbling on here, so... We can just wrap it up. It's
no. Why'd you go without the ponytail today? Just curious. Is there a story behind this?
Well, no. I mean, the story is I forgot the ponytail holder, but I swear to God, I am this close to having a hairstylist come in here and shave my head.
Really?
Yeah. We got to figure out a charity angle for that. I think that'd be a good video. Just watch him like yank my hair up and just go and then just like
and then just well, you could donate it.
Well, I'll tell you, maybe we'll do this. I'll tell you what. We're going to set a deadline. Johnny Kaczynski has a Toys for Tots like kind of benefit thing that,
Okay.
that he works pretty hard at. And maybe we'll auction it off. And, the highest bidder, well, then they got to come to Chicago with scissors. And we'll give the money to Johnny K's Toys for Tots or something like that. We'll work something out. I'm getting
We'll
tired of the
figure something
ponytail anyway. So, yeah, because
Plus then
Bruce
you can-
Davey does
plus then
that.
you can donate the hair.
Yeah, you donate the hair, right. So because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I
Right.
figured October is a good time to do it. My mom will be delighted because she thinks I look ridiculous, right? So maybe,
right.
maybe we'll figure out something in October.
An auction to see
I know.
who wants to come and cut your hair.
Should we do it that way, or should I make a declaration that I'm going to win something, and if I don't, I'm
Well,
going
you
to have
could-
my
right.
head shaved and donate it to charity? Which would be better? See, I want to get some money out of it and give it to the charity. So, how do you do this? How do you take bids
Well, yeah, no, it's hard to. Yeah.
on something?
Well, it'd be funny to see if we even get any bids.
Okay, right now in the chat room, what's the highest bid to see me get my head shaved on TV or on the show?
If you finish top 16 in Vegas, you shave it.
If I finish or don't finish?
Yeah, that's it.
At Darts Live? That's not fair. I never play soft tip. As far as running for the ADO board, we'll see about that. Maybe next year I'll do it. But I do communicate with the board, and I can definitely, if you write something up that you want the ADO changed, if you actually put it pen to paper or type it or whatever, and you send it to me, I can make sure that it gets in front of the board. That much I can guarantee. Running for the board, I'm not going to do it this year. So that I decided that yesterday. I didn't have much time to decide, and I thought about it.
All right.
So okay, yeah, chat room.
We'll figure
no
out
bids.
$50.
$50
From Outlaw.
bucks. That's it. $50. That's it. Oh no, it's gonna have to be more than that. Pretty sure Ray Carver said 400 like 2 months ago, and it's longer now.
He would actually pay $400 to shave your head?
Oh yeah, but he wants to take the scissors and do it himself.
Oh, right.
Which is fine with me. I don't
Right.
care. We donate the hair to cancer. We donate the money to Johnny K's Toys for Tots.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Right.
All right, maybe you guys
we'll
can
work
spread
on
the
that.
word. Spread the word, and we'll figure something out here. I don't know, how can you run an auction on Facebook?
Or he's saying we start taking
minimum reserve price.
we
or
start
something.
taking donations for the haircut, and once we hit the target, then you get shaved. So we can set a target for how much money we want to raise for Johnny K's Toys for Tots.
So what we'll do is we'll say, look, you have to make a donation to Johnny K, and then somewhere say haircut.
Right.
And if they get to a certain amount of money, we'll do it on the show.
So
we have to set a deadline. Okay, well,
we'll have to
maybe
set a
that'll
deadline and a dollar amount that we want donated to Johnny K's Toys for Tots.
We have to set a goal, and then everybody, as soon as they donate enough money, that we reach the goal, and then we can update everybody this week where we're at. You guys,
Yeah.
step it up.
Right.
I'm
then
doing,
once
I'm
we hit
doing
the goal,
my part.
That's the best idea.
Right.
Then once we hit the goal, you shave your head and then you donate your hair.
Well, I'm not going to shave it. Somebody's
Well,
going to have to come in here and
right.
do it. I'm not going to go. Want
Go
to see blood? Oh, man. That might go viral, actually. No, yeah, we'll do it separate, and then we'll kind of make a little thing about it, and we'll throw it up on YouTube or
Right.
something. Hey, check this out. This guy's getting his head shaved
Yeah.
for charity. Because that's what Bruce Davey does. He
Right.
does it every year, apparently. He just gets one
it's got to
haircut a
be
year.
at least 10 inches long or something like that.
Mine's pretty long,
yeah.
man. It's
Yours
like
is plenty.
Yeah, it's already.
But yeah, I
down
think in
to-
order to donate
down
it
here.
has to be at least 10 or 12 inches long.
I'm pretty
But
sure I
I
got that.
I think you got that,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I got that. Okay.
All
Well,
right, we'll
that's something to
work on
look
that.
forward to.
Yeah.
We also, by the way, we're going to have some cool stuff coming up in the next few weeks. We're going to be doing some different stuff.
All right.
So I'll just say that, and we'll
Little precursor.
little precursor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah. Anyway, are we
All right.
good?
I think we're
Can
good.
we wrap it up?
Yeah.
All right, for Mystery Mark, Steve Penuncielman, thanks for listening, everybody. And we will Dart Talk to you next week. Everybody
Have a
take
good
care.
evening.